Welcome everyone to this mini-series about agentic engineering, specifically with Svelte. Now, in the previous episodes, we talked a lot about how to optimize your agent and your editor to write as much code as possible. But the real bottleneck nowadays is in a different place. Before it was writing code, now is reviewing code. In today's episode, we're going to look at how AI can also help us review our code. Now, before we begin, a small presentation is due. I'm Paolo Ricciuti. I lead the Svelte team at Mainmatter, which is an engineering consultancy that specializes in Svelte, Ember, Rust, and we help our clients to go through their toughest challenges with those languages or pick them up in the first place. Most importantly, during the years, we helped a lot of customers to set up their system so that their engineer could ship code faster without compromising on code quality. And that's exactly what we are doing right now with agents, because agents ship a lot of code and we want to keep them in check. And so the same engineering techniques that we were using with actual engineers, now we can use them with our agents. So if you're interested, check out mainmatter.com to learn how we can make your system better. And now let's see how to make the review part of the code much better. If you have been watching this series, you don't need to recap, but if you are just watching this video and you are curious about what we are building, we are actually building a news aggregator. So as you can see, we have an application where basically you have every day you have an edition and you can add your own sources. So in this case, I have the Svelte Reddit and the Mainmatter blog. You can add the new sources or remove the old ones. And basically, what we will build, like right now we built the scaffolding part, and what we will build in the end is a fully managed application where basically every day an AI will visit all of your sources, pick the relevant links, and then visit all the links, do a small summary so that inside your news every day you will have a few articles that are relevant for you that you can read all in one page with a small summary, and then if you want, you can actually go read the full article inside your the actual application. So it's a basic news aggregator. What we've built up until this moment is basically the CRUD part of the application. So we used AI to design this application, and we also used AI to develop most of the features of this application. We are not vibe coding, we are agentic engineering, which is a bit different in the sense that we deeply care about the code, while with vibe coding you are just like throwing the AI at the problem until it figure out how to do it. With agentic engineering, we are actually keeping a close look on the code, we are reviewing the code, and we put in place all sorts of structures like testing, Git, and other like skills and stuff like that to basically allow the agent to be as free as possible so that we can actually get some productivity gain, but without losing control over the code. So we are actually building this product as an actual product. The other thing that we did is that we also had these like the all editions, and you can actually manage some editions, and you can add some articles and stuff like that. Now, all of this is technically not really needed for this application because, as I've said, we will build in a moment, we will build an AI integration where basically every day the AI will visit all your links and do the edition for you. But it's good to have a place to manage all of your editions so that if you don't like an article, you can remove it, and you can also keep this as a sort of journal. So that's why we started with building that. Now, what we've seen with a lot of teams is that they start producing a lot more code because AI will help them produce more code. But once you produce a lot more code, you have to review that code, unless you are vibe coding. So at that point, reviewing the code becomes really the bottleneck. Now, we actually want to review the code for good. So we definitely want the review of the code to be sort of a bottleneck. Like we want to spend a bit more time reviewing the code to make sure that the code is good and everything is fine. But AI can also help us review the code. And there are companies basically built around these things. And what we're going to do today is actually setting up one of these companies so that we can actually see how they work and discuss what are the pitfalls, what are the things to pay attention to, and yeah. So let's actually start implementing this. Now, in this case, we are working on this application basically by ourselves. So like I'm the only person that is working on this code base. And one good way is actually have a review skill that you can build. So you can build yourself a review skill and you just invoke that review skill before pushing the code. It might sound silly, like if the AI is able to spot a bug, why would the AI write that bug in the first place? But a few research actually showed that the AI, when put into the shoes of a reviewer, actually is able to spot some bugs that itself wrote. So basically the point is, with a review skill, you can just say, hey, please review the current changes. And given that the AI has a brand new context, it will actually look at the code with a fresh eye. And this actually happens to humans too, right? Sometimes you are coding and coding and coding, and then you look at the code before pushing and you find a bug. So that's one way to have its own pre-review before pushing the code. And that's definitely something that we can do. But something much more interesting, in my opinion, is actually have some sort of bot that will run on GitHub itself. So I'm building this application by myself. That said, either to deploy your application or to just have the code available online, you generally will push this repo to a GitHub repo, right? And that's exactly what I did. So this repo is obviously also a GitHub repo, which you can find at github.com/mainmatter/news aggregator if you're interested. Now, generally, when you're working with someone, a good practice is to not push directly to main, but to work on your branch, and then you can push that branch, and then you can open a pull request, right? So in this case, there are not pull requests yet, but a pull request, it's a good moment where your coworkers can actually go in and review your code before pushing it to merge. And the reason why you generally do this is because you want an extra pair of eyes that will look at your code without knowing anything, and that they can spot some bugs, tell you about, and you can fix it so that we don't merge some bug into main. Now, I don't have a coworker, so what am I doing in this page? Well, AI can be my coworker. So there are a few services that will basically review your PR with you. And generally those services are using AI, obviously, but the reason why you might want to use those instead of just having a skill to review your code is that those services are specifically tailored at reviewing your code. So either they have their own models that are fine-tuned on top of bigger models, or they work on top of a pretty good model with a system prompt and with some settings so that the AI is very, very good at reviewing your code. Now, there are multiple services. For example, you can use Copilot directly in GitHub. So if you have a Copilot subscription, you can see that you can chat with Copilot, but you can also ask to fix an issue or to review a PR. But obviously, that will eat into your Copilot subscription. And in general, Copilot is a bit more of a generalistic. It's really not different from your local AI doing a review with a review skill. But there are other tools. For example, there is BugBot from Cursor. So the cursor, which is the editor, the AI editor, and they also have a bot that you can install on GitHub, and it will do a pull request review for you. Now, I think you can try it for free, but you need to have a pro subscription to Cursor to use Bugbot. But I've heard of very good things about Bugbot. Like, I've heard people say that this is a game changer for them. So if you have a Cursor subscription, feel free to try. There is also CodeRabbit. And CodeRabbit is free for open source projects. They have a CLI that you can run on your computer if you want. They also have a GitHub bot that you can install to get a review inside your pull request. There's also Vercel code review. So if you have a Vercel agent, and it's available on the beta, enterprise, and pro plans. So if you have a hobby plan, you don't have access to this, but if you have a beta or enterprise or pro plans on Vercel, you have access to this. And this is also quite good. So you can basically set up the Vercel bot to run a review using AI, obviously. And then there is the one that I prefer. It's another one that it's free for open source. So if your repo is public, you can just use it for free. I found that Greptile is the one that is a bit more concise, because one of the problems with these AI review tools is that, as I've said, those are very, very focused on reviewing your code and to provide comments on your code. Now, the issue with that is that it can generate a lot of noise, which means that basically you put up a perfectly fine PR, and since those AI are tasked with the task of reviewing, of giving you comment, they will comment even if the PR is perfectly fine, just for the sake of saying I commented something. From my experience, I've seen that Greptile is the right middle ground. Like probably like Cursor Bugbot might be even less noisy, but you have to pay for it. Greptile is free for open source, and in my experience is the one that like tends to review the best without like leaning too much into having to leave a comment in any case. Now, I've already logged in, but you can log in for free. You should there's no credit card required for 14 days. After 14 days, you do need to provide a credit card, but again, for public repos, it's absolutely free. And if you go to your dashboard, that's also something that is pretty interesting. Basically, first thing first, like you can have these connections, and you can add code providers. So I've logged in but with my personal account, because as I've said, I'm also using Greptile in my personal account, but I also logged in with my Mainmatter account, where the news aggregator repository are there. This is just a GitHub bot, basically. So if you want, you can say like edit configuration, and this will bring you to the GitHub page where you can give access to only specific repository or all the repository in your organization. And the nice thing about Greptile is that you can also kind of customize the review. So if we go to settings, well, first thing first, you can see that these are all the repository for which Greptile is enabled. And so you can say manage repository, and you can see that like I have this disabled, so I can enable it also for the new Mainmatter news aggregator repository. But also you have some general settings, so like the severity threshold. This is what I was talking about. Like if you set this to low, it will comment on every single issue. The problem with that is that like it's very easy to then get very noisy, and if they comment too much, you will just basically ignore every single comment because it's just annoying to having to deal with all sort of things. But you can also set it to high, and it will just comment on stuff that is very, very important to fix. You can also have like for comment types. So for example, for syntax error, for logic errors, or for style errors. For example, I would say that probably style is really not needed because you have prettier and like ESLint for that. They also have a way so that you can fix with an AI prompt. So they will write an AI prompt for you that you can just copy and paste in your agent to fix that issue. And you can also add a specific comment header to say, hey, this was generated by Greptile, and you can add all sorts of things inside this comment. They also have this PR summary settings. So basically, they will not only give you comments about the code and when they find some issue, but they will also give like a summary of the PR. And in this case, you can see that like this can either be appended to the PR description or inside a separate comment. I prefer to have a separate comment, so I disable this, and you will see that it will basically give a small recap of the feature. And also, this is what should be included in your PR summary. And this is like a text summary of all the changes. This is something that is very, very interesting. Like that's something that I love about Greptile. It's the confidence score, which is basically a number from 0 to 5 that basically say how likely is this PR to be fine. So if there is a 0 out of 5, it means that there are a ton of errors. If there is a 5 out of 5, it means you can just go ahead and merge. There's also an issue table, which basically show all the issues that it found. And you can also ask him to generate a diagram of the changes. I don't find this very useful, so I will not do it. And it will also show comments that could not be placed in line on the diff. So in GitHub, if you don't make a change in a certain line, you cannot add a comment to that line. So basically, this way it will give you general comments about, hey, I would also do this. You can also create a status check for each PR so that while Greptile is reviewing, it will not go ahead, like it will basically show the PR to be still orange. And it can also show like specific comments about why it has been skipped, why it encountered an error. And you can also add custom instructions. So this is also pretty interesting because basically this means that if you see Greptile do comments that are too specific, or maybe you really want to check something every time, like consider that this project is vibe coded, so pay extra attention to that. You can actually do that inside custom instruction. You also have some logs, like you can see where the repos that have been reviewed. You have analytics. You also have custom context, which is basically like inside a repo, it will automatically detect your agents.md and stuff like that. There is also this thing that is very interesting because sometimes there are automated PR inside your repo. For example, you might have set up Renovate, for example, to update your dependencies. And so what you can do is that you can say, hey, if it's a PR from Renovate or from GitHub Action, please exclude these authors from the automatic PR. And you can also add more filters, like by labels, by branches, by keywords, so that if you have some automatic PR, it will not review those PR. You can also set a file change limit so that if the PR is too big, it will not actually review it. You can say that it will automatically trigger on new commits. That's something that I like if I push to a new branch, I want the review to be start again. And you can say if you want the draft pull request to be reviewed. Obviously, in that case, I don't think that's a good idea because if it's a draft PR, it means that it's not ready, so it will likely find a lot of issues. Okay, so we have seen how this works. let's actually try to build something. Let's change something, and let's open up PR so that we can actually see how it looks like. So something that I want to change in the application for sure, and we can use this opportunity to change that, is that I want the ability to delete an edition, and I want to move the form below. Okay, so let's go back to our news aggregator here. Let's do new. So let's prompt our agent to add the ability to delete an edition. So we can say, I want you to add the ability to delete an old edition in editions plus page.svelte. Let's go. Now, something that I want to do is let's actually introduce a slight bug here so that we can actually check that the grep tile will actually find the bug. So it can be a simple bug like this one, for example, where we forgot a not. And let's see what grep tile has to say about this. So we can create a new branch, delete past editions. We can add a feed, delete past editions, and we can commit and publish the branch. Now, if I switch back to GitHub, now obviously GitHub is asking me to compare and pull request, and I can add the description. This adds the ability to delete a past editions from editions management page, from the edition management. Okay, so now that I create this pull request, we can see that hopefully one of the checks, okay, you can see that we have this check here, which is grep tile review. So grep tile has now been informed, like this bot from grep tile have seen that this PR has been added, and he is now reviewing the code to figure out if there's any bug. And again, we know that there is one bug, right? Okay, so now as you can see, grep tile finished our review, and so now the check is green, and you can see that it actually has a couple of comments. So the confidence score, so we were talking about this before, so like there is a summary. This PR adds a per edition delete button to the edition management page, wiring up to the new delete edition server-side form action with ownership verification. Two significant issues were found that should be addressed before merging. Critical, inverted confirm logic. On plus page.svelte line 157, the confirm call is missing a not negation, so the deletion is triggered when the user click cancel and suppressed when they click OK. This is the inverse of the intended UX. Likely breakage, missing child record cleanup. Edition.remote.ts line 191, delete edition, deletes the daily edition row without first removing associated daily edition article rows. Unless the foreign key is configured with onDelete cascade, this will either raise a constraint error blocking the delete entirely or leave orphaned row in the join table. Obviously, so we have the confidence score. We can see that this PR is not good to merge, but we also have, like, on a specific line, we have the comment from the bot that actually show like the issue, and they even suggest a change. So in this case, this is literally showing us what the code should look like, and we can even, with GitHub UI, commit this suggestion. So I can say fix don't delete if confirm is false. And so I can commit these changes directly. So greptile, now that we committed, is redoing the review. Now, regarding this other comment, obviously greptile only has the visibility into what changed inside this file, and it likely can't see the actual files where these are declared. I'm pretty sure that we already had this delete cascade, but that's actually like, regardless if we already have it or not, this is a good point. If we don't have it, this is an actual bug. So it's good to have a review assistant like greptile that can actually tell, hey, check this thing. So let's actually go and check if we have everything set up correctly. So we have this delete form, we can fetch this, we have this delete edition, and we can see that we delete from daily edition. Yeah, on here. So if you have a daily edition article on delete, it's cascade. So basically whenever, like this, what this is saying is that this is a deletion, a daily edition ID, and whenever that ID is deleted, everything that has that ID is also deleted. So we basically don't have that problem that greptile told us, but yeah, overall I think it's good. Okay, this is one of the issues that I have with greptile, and is the fact that this is actually now failing because there is a duplicated closing bracket. So it actually spotted it itself. So as you can see, like duplicate closing can cause us a syntax error. So this was actually failing. The reason is that in the diff that greptile generated, it wrongfully generated twice of this. So there was a double closing, which was a syntax error, and that led to the project being broken. Like the whole page was broken because of that. So pay attention when using tools like greptile, because obviously like they can make this sort of issues, like they are not infallible. So yeah, that's an issue. We can actually fix it locally. We can say fix syntax error, and we can commit, and now greptile should be running once again. And if everything goes correctly, we shouldn't have this, like we don't have this problem, so we can resolve the conversation. This should be automatically resolved now that we have this commit. Let's see if greptile has anything else to say. That's another thing that you should really pay attention to, is the fact that sometimes this code review actually don't catch a few bugs, and they do catch it the next commit that you push. This is something that I kind of hate about every one of these tools, is that to not be too spammy, they sometimes ignore some bugs and then they push that bug in the next commit. So you will find yourself like fixing a bug, and then you commit, and then they will find another bug, and then you commit, and then you find another bug, and then you commit. So it's a bit annoying, but overall you can see how like a very simple bug in this case has been discovered, and we prevented a bug in production because greptile actually fixed it. As you can see, now it just finished the review, and the confidence is still 2 out of 5. What? Why? So now the problem, it came up with a new problem, which is the delete edition server action has no status guard, meaning published edition can be deleted just as this is a draft. A single misclick destroy live content with no server-side protection. It's fine. That's actually what we want. The child daily edition article rows are not explicitly deleted before removing the parent daily edition row. If the foreign key is not configured with onDelete cascade, this will either throw a constraint error or orphan those row. Again, this is something that we know it's not true. The confirm guard and optimistic filtering logic in Svelte component are implemented correctly in the current version of the file. So it's saying that it's not safe to merge because of that. But again, this is actually something that we are perfectly fine with. So we can actually go here and check that we don't care if the edition is published. We are okay with deleting that. We can say comment just to give greptile a reason. So regardless of the low confidence of greptile, like this is something that greptile is flagging, but we know that we don't care about those kind of errors. So we can actually go ahead and merge this pull request, and now we have additional deletions. Now, something that I want to do is let's actually go back to main, let's pull so that we have the changes. And let's actually make a new change, which is way simpler. I would love for the create a new edition form in editions, Svelte, to be after the list of actual editions instead of the top of the page. So we can make this change. This is a very simple change because the only thing that we need to do is move this form below, and we don't care about anything else. It should just be literally moving a block of code below, because I want to show you also what happens when you have a very simple code change that doesn't involve any logic, and let's see how greptile react to this change. Now, this is a very simple change. So move editions below, editions form below. So we can say fix chore, maybe move editions form below, commit, publish, and now we can actually go here and open a new PR. And we can say this moves the new edition form below the list of editions. You can create a pull request, and now let's see what greptile has to say of this very simple change. Okay, so as you can see, greptile now has finished the review of this very simple PR. So this PR moves the create an edition form from above the edition list below it in plus page.svelte. The changes are pure layout reordering with no functional impact. The add edition section and its accompanying section rule were relocated to after the edition list. The empty state message was updated from create one above to get started to use the form below to create your first one, correctly matching the new form position. Confidence score 5 out of 5. This PR is safe to merge. The change is limited. No files require special attention. So as you can see, this is what I was talking before, like 4 very simple changes. And to be fair, like I didn't even notice that we had like a mention about above or below. So it's nice that both GPT 5.4 and greptile catch that was an important update. So this is safe to merge. We can actually go ahead and merge the pull request. So once again, this kind of PR is not the Saint Grail of pull request review. It's not something that if a senior engineer tells you you should probably rework these, you need to absolutely go and change. You need to think about this as your junior coworker that is giving his best to give you a review. So always keep in mind that it has a smaller context of the whole code base. So like it's not navigating the whole code base, it's just looking at what's changed. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that it's an AI, so it can make mistakes. Sometimes it's not a good suggestion. Sometimes it's not what you really want. Sometimes it might make even syntax error. So take all of this with a grain of salt, but the point is, by using something like this, you can basically catch early mistakes very early, so that when one of your coworkers come to the PR to actually review it, it can already see what has been corrected. It can already find a PR that is at least syntactically and logically in a good state, and then it can add its own experience on top of that. So thank you for watching this episode about this mini-series about agentic coding with Svelte. We have explored the world of PR reviews, and in the next episode we're gonna actually take a look at something that goes even beyond the pull request, which is how to use AI during your actual production. So we can set up Sentry to also get some help from AI in case we have some errors during our live production build. So stick it with us, and if you have any question, as usual, about the episode, or if you need any help with your Svelte, Rust, or Ember application, feel free to reach out at mainmatter.com to learn more about Mainmatter and about our services. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.